more over here at HTM Sports. How is everybody doing this evening, man? So, hey, before I even get into the gist of what we talking about, I just want to give a special shout out to all my supporters for the donations. Because of y'all, we were able to upgrade and actually get a working microphone for the show. You know, so I appreciate y'all for everything. So everybody that donated, thank y'all. Miss Charlene Evans, Dwayne Brown, Daisy Clark. It's everybody that said something. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go through the cash app just to make sure I don't miss nobody because y'all have really did the fool with this. So yeah, so let's see, yeah, Michelle Cox, uh, Mr. Brown, Miss Charlene, Daisy Clark. So I appreciate y'all for donating. Because of y'all, we were able to upgrade and get a mic. So hopefully this improves the sound quality of the show. And we're gonna keep building. We're gonna keep trying to grow. And I just wanted to personally thank y'all before we even jumped into this content. But hey, you know, anybody that's tapping in though, please go ahead and hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. And if it is in your heart, I'm going to add the Cash App into the bottom of the chat. So if it is in your heart to donate, we will not turn it down. We will use it to invest in improving the show. As you see, that's where all the money is going to go to. So hey, let's just jump into it, man. So we have seen a lot of comments and from Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones that did a hey, yeah, I appreciate you, Dwayne Brown. Like, hey, y'all donations really helped out. So I just want to tell y'all thank y'all for the support. For real, for real. Like, hey, none of this is possible without y'all, man. Because y'all watch the content, because y'all like, because y'all share, because y'all send donations. The channel is growing. When I first started out a couple months ago, I wasn't too sure about this podcast and stuff. But y'all have really made this worthwhile. So, I just want to take time out to tell y'all how much I appreciate y'all, man. No lie. So yeah, Stephen Jones has said a lot, these past couple of days. And hey, I appreciate you for sending the extra $10, Mr. Brown. I appreciate you for the support. Hold up. But for everybody else, I'm adding it into the bottom. Oh yeah, so I'm pinning it to the top. So there it is. It's Henny Demore right there on Cash App. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll be able to accept super chats and things along those lines. But until then, if it's on your heart, you can hit the Cash App. If not, just like, share, subscribe, and we're gonna rock. But yeah, man, Stephen Jones. And what's funny is Stephen is not like Jerry Jones, right? Like Jerry give you details that you didn't even ask for. Like Jerry Jones gives a little bit too much information, if we're being honest. Like when he talks, he's going to tell you everything that's on his mind. And Jerry Jones is a bona fide billionaire, right? He doesn't really, no, he doesn't really shy away from the topics. He wants to be in front of the mic. He likes to talk. Like he's different from a lot of the owners in the NFL in that regard. But Stephen Jones is an entirely different animal. The fact that we even have this many sound bites from Stephen Jones, it actually surprised me. It surprised me. I ain't gonna lie. So we're gonna unpack some of the things that he said. They asked him a bunch of questions at the combine. He spoke on it a couple of topics. Regarding Dak Prescott, regarding the roster, Ezekiel Elliott. Just different things he touched on. Then of course, once we get through that, we'll touch on some off season news, some moves being made, players being released that could come in and contribute to the Dallas Cowboys, and things along those lines. Like I said, it's the off season. It ain't like we finna play any football anytime soon. So we're just gonna chop it up, man. It's February. September's a long way away, so we're just gonna chop it up. So yeah, man. So the most important thing that he said, right, and it's a matter that we touched on in the last show, and he is saying that we have to go out there and get an extension done for one Rain Dakota Prescott. And that makes all the sense in the world. It makes perfect sense. And we took, like, me and West Coast and Landlord, we touched on it, late earlier today when we did our group show. But Dak Prescott, man, like, you have to extend him. And there's a bunch of people that don't think highly of him as a player. I'm not sure why, but when you just look at his cumulative numbers, he's 61-36 as a starting quarterback, has never had a losing record, when he started double digit games. Right. The only time he had a losing record was in 2020. He only played 5 games. So he didn't actually get a fair shake to get him from underneath that 500 that losing record he had. Right. So Dak Prescott has done a lot of good things for the Dallas Cowboys in his time as a starting quarterback. He wins games. He's dominant against the division. And if you look at his advanced numbers, I know a lot of people just be poo-pooing on it. They always try to move the goalposts when I bring up what his all-time rankings are in completion percentage and passer rating and touchdown to interception ratio. Like, they always try to poo-poo on that for some reason. But, at the end of the day, Dak Prescott has been a very productive quarterback for you. You won playoff games with Dak Prescott. And he has not cost you that much money, if we're being honest. The first 4 years of his contract, he made only about $4 million altogether, right? And he's only cost you $20 million or more 1 year, and that was in 2020, right? This man was playing for $500,000 against the salary cap, right? $2 million against the salary cap. Last year, he was only $19 million against the salary cap. The year before, he was only $17 million against the salary cap. So, like, Dak Prescott, has not cost you a lot of money in terms of salary cap rise. And, that's the only thing that actually matters. Like, yes, there was a year that he made $80 million total. Only 17 of that was actually against the cap, which actually matters. I don't care if Dak Prescott made $200 million. If the cap hit is under 20, that is none of my concern. Like, I'm not a pocket watcher. I don't care what this man makes. Only thing that should matter to you is the cap hit. And the cap hit has been very friendly every single season that he's been here. Now, this year will be the one exception. This is going to be the 1 year that Dak Prescott's cap hit is going to be an albatross. And, because of that, that is why it makes perfect sense to go ahead and extend them. Brian said the mic sounds good. I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. So, I'm trying to do everything I can to improve the quality of the show. So, you say it sounds good, I'm happy. I am happy. That's money well spent. Donations used very wisely. So, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful. So, yeah, so that's why it makes sense. Like, Dak Prescott has only cost you, over $20 million one time. And, this is going to be the year where the big money is coming in. So, this is the perfect time to extend him. Extend him 2 or 3 years, lower his cap hit substantially, because you save like $22 million or more by going ahead and giving Dak Prescott an extension and moving that money around. So yes, this is a no-brainer. And we're not going to sit here and act like quarterbacks that are on Dak Prescott's level grow on trees, right? Because your other option is if Lamar Jackson hits the free agent market, you give him, the $50 million contract, and then you can't even say go and get Lamar Jackson, because the stuff that you criticize Dak Prescott for, Lamar Jackson struggles with that more. Like, Dak Prescott, like, he has multiple playoff wins. Eastside Harold, this is the thing. Like, people only look at Dak Prescott making $40 million a year. Dak Prescott is a $40 million a year quarterback that has never made $40 million against the cap hit. Right? Dak Prescott made $19 million last year. The year before that, he made $17 million. Right? 2019, he only made $2 million. The 3 years prior to that, he played for $500,000. Right? So We're not talking like Dak Prescott has been tripling the cap hit or this or that. Like Dak Prescott's cap hit has been very cap friendly. The only year is not going to be cap friendly is these 2 years coming up. So extend them. That doesn't really matter what it says on paper, what he's making. I only care about the cap hit. And Dak Prescott cap hit has never been bad. Like people like Skip Bayless, like 2 playoff wins doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. But I don't care if he's a Hall of Famer. He's a top 10 quarterback right now. So that actually doesn't matter or equate to anything. Right? Because listen, you're talking about Dak Prescott only having 2 playoff wins. Justin Herbert has 0. Derek Carr has 0. Deshaun Watson only has 1. Lamar Jackson only has 1. Kyler Murray has 0. Right? So there are plenty of quarterbacks that people love. And, they act like they are amazing quarterbacks that have less playoff wins than Dak Prescott. Right? So we're not going to sit here and act like Dak Prescott's the only guy that doesn't have a continued playoff success. This not the truth. Like all these guys that the media loves, that the media props up like they're top 10 quarterbacks, things like that, they do not have the same. They have less playoff wins than Dak Prescott. And you look at Kyler Murray, like he's going to year 5. Year 5, Dak Prescott have made the playoffs twice. But matter of fact, Dak Prescott in year 3 had made the playoffs twice and had a playoff win. So guys like Kyler Murray and guys like Justin Herbert are actually behind Dak Prescott in that regard, right? Because Dak Prescott first 3 years, we'll talk about playoff performances and playoff wins. He actually did better than they did in their first three years. So, like this is just a narrative that people push about Dak Prescott because he is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But, like, let's be honest, like all these other guys are not producing either. They're not. Like all these other guys have potential, like people like their size or their athleticism, but they ain't went out there and won no games for nobody. For real. And yes, the market is what the market is. Like remember, like Eastside Hero, you say what you want about Dak Prescott, man. And listen, like we're talking about Dak Prescott because Stephen Jones talked about Dak Prescott. So like when news is reported, we're going to speak on it. And when people say crazy things about Dak Prescott that are not true, we're going to discuss that and give the actual numbers behind it. Right? It's easy to say somebody sucks, or that somebody isn't good, or it's easy to say somebody is great, right? And not give context to it. What makes them great? What makes somebody suck? Yada yada, so on and so forth. Like that's the stuff that we need to break down, that need to deep dive into, and be open minded about. Because listen, I don't sit here and say every quarterback that plays for the Dallas Cowboys is amazing. I never said Cooper Rush was amazing. I never said Ben DiNucci was amazing, right? There were years I was down on Tony Romo, but he proved himself to be a good quarterback. Even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, he was still a very efficient quarterback that ended up being, top all time in our franchise in passing yards and passing touchdowns and things like that. What that QBR after 17 interceptions? I don't know. I have to go back and look. But I do know that he had 15 interceptions in the regular season, right? And if you talk about 17 interceptions, Josh Allen has 17 interceptions and 9 fumbles lost. So, it's not like Dak Prescott wasn't even the quarterback that led the league in turnovers. Josh Allen was. But, people don't speak on that because, they love Josh Allen. And remember, like the guys that they say are amazing, they still have not won Super Bowls. That is the criteria, right? Because if Dak Prescott went to the NFC title game or anything else, they wouldn't give love to him for that, right? For getting bounced. Like the best thing that Josh Allen ever did was go to an AFC championship game and get blown out, right? Because he was not competitive in that game. And then, he had a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. He played great and they lost. So he played good in a loss, and he went to an AFC championship game and got blown out. Those are the 2 highest achievements of Josh Allen. So like these quarterbacks that people put on pedestals, like they are in the same boat as Dak Prescott at the end of the day, because the goal is to win Super Bowls. And as it stands, since Dak Prescott has been in the league, only Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Foles, and Matthew Stafford have won Super Bowls in those 7 years. Everybody else, you can argue, has failed or underachieved. Because winning the Super Bowl is all that matters. You don't get participation trophies for going. So yeah, but it makes perfect sense to extend Dak Prescott. You clear up a ton of cap space. It allows you to improve your team in key areas. He said, "I heard D Hop is interested in the Browns. He may be. He may be. Deshaun, and listen, Eastside Harold, like D Hop had his best years with Deshaun Watson. Like he rocked with Deshaun Watson. So like that's his boy. So I wouldn't doubt that D Hop would want to go and play with the quarterback that he had his best seasons with. It made perfect sense to me. It made perfect sense to me. No, I would love to have him in Dallas as a QB2. I mean, as a QB2, as a wide receiver too. But there are other options in Dallas that I'm interested in. I know I would trade for Jerry Jeudy. I would trade for Brandon Cooks. I would sign somebody like DJ Shark. Like there's other options at wide receiver if D Hops decide to take his talents on to Cleveland. Yeah, Brian. I try to provide the numbers and the facts, man. I try to do numbers over feelings, and I be in my feelings too. Like, I'm a fan. Like that's short for fanatic. Like I be irrational sometimes too until I sit back. I let the emotions subside, and then I look at what actually happened. Right. So as a content creator and a fan, it's hard to balance that sometimes. It's hard to balance that sometimes, but it is what it is. So yeah, I ain't gonna touch on the Dak Prescott thing too much longer because he talked a lot. He got a lot of comments out here, man. It would be nice to have him come home and play for D'Amico Ryan. Hey, Miss Charlene Evans. Hey, what's up with you? Hey, I want to give you a special shout out as well. Because of you, you and everybody else that donated, I was able to get this microphone to improve the sound quality on the channel. So thank you. You have, it really moved me with your support. So thank you very much for everything you've done for me in this channel. We're gonna keep trying to pay it forward. Yes, man. We're gonna keep trying to pay it forward and keep trying to improve. So yeah, I'm not gonna stay on the Dak Prescott topic too long. We really went in on it earlier. We already done beat that dead horse into submission. So let's talk about some other things that they were talking about. So Stephen Jones also said he fully expects to have Tyron Smith back. Sorry about that. I got some stuff going on in the background. So yeah, they fully expect to have Tyron Smith back in the fold. You know, he also said, you might be able to expect a restructure. So how do I feel about that? Well, I was one of the guys that tried to put Tyron Smith out the pasture. I'm not going to lie, and I like Tyron Smith. Like he is, when he's healthy, he's one of the better left tackles in the National Football League. But we all know the fact is he is never really healthy at this point. He only played 3 regular season games for you this year. He missed a bunch of time last year. He's only played in these last 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, 17 games. So he's missed 33 games in the last 3 years. So he's averaging about 11 games missed a season at this point. But because we have question marks at tackle, I will concede if he is healthy and they restructure him to save some money, I'm fine with keeping him at that point, right? If I can get some of that money back and put it somewhere else, so like he's gonna be making about 10, like we could save $10 million cutting him. So let's say if we save $5 million by restructuring him, or we save $8 million by restructuring him, give him an extra year and pushing some money down the line. I wouldn't mind keeping Tyron Smith because we do have question marks. Terrence Steele, who I'm going to talk about in a second, got injured He's not under contract. You still have to sign him. Jason Peters, you don't know if he's going to retire. No, he's not under contract either. Tyler Smith, you don't know if he'll be able to take the next step in his development next year. So, like there are question marks. There's question marks, around the offensive line. So having a proven veteran, no tackle who has played at both sides, it can be a commodity for you. It could be a saving grace, if anything happens. But, you know, I would have rather the Dallas Cowboys went out, cut him, got a younger left tackle that you could depend on. Because in any relationship, you have to have trust. And I keep saying I don't trust Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, future Hall of Famer, all pro player, made 100 Pro Bowls. I'm ad libbing on that, but like the guy is a monster when he's healthy. But I can't trust him. The man, listen. Last year he did not even make it into the regular season without getting injured. He got hurt in practice. In practice, tore the muscle off his knee. So like him breaking down the way he breaking down, man. Like I can't trust him. I can't trust him. But you know, if they bring him back, there is always a smart way to do it. If you bring him back, just don't bring him back for the same money you got him playing for now. He don't play enough games to make $10 million. If he make $10 million, he only played three games next year. He would have made $3.3 million a game, right? He made $10 million in 3 games. If that's the case for next year, if he only played 3 games like he did this season. So I rock with Tyron Smith, man. Like he's a great player when he's on the field. But I don't know his availability. I don't know you can trust him to stay healthy. Probably would be smarter, to get a left tackle you could trust. But if that's what they want to do, then go for it. Just don't bring them back for the same money. Try to get some of that cap saving. It's going to take more than just that restructuring. There's going to be some people that's going to be salary. There's going to be salary cap casualties. Jordan Lewis, I'm pretty sure he's going to be gone, right? Because Deron Bland has already taken his job. You don't, downgrade Deron Bland after the season that he had. So Jordan Lewis is probably out. There's a good chance Malik Hooker could be out. Right, there's some guys that they're probably going to move on from. And Tyron Smith, he was one of them. He was one of them that was, you could rationalize it and you can explain it to the fan base by cutting Tyron Smith, saving the $10 million. There's going to be a section of the fan base that would have, still wanted Tyron Smith if that was the case. But you could have rationalized it if he was a cap casualty. But if they're going to keep him, just keep him at a reduced cap hit. Keep him at a reduced cap hit. So I mentioned Terrence Steele as well. They are saying that both Terrence Steele and Tony Pollard should be available for training camp. What catches me by surprise, though, like you hear that, like, oh, okay, that's cool. Neither one of those guys are currently Dallas Cowboys, right? Tony Pollard is a free agent. Terrence Steele is a free agent. Neither one of those guys is currently under contract with the Dallas Cowboys. So I might be overanalyzing it, but I'm putting 2 and 2 together. By them mentioning those two players and mentioning that they should be available for training camp, I am leaning on the fact that they will probably be Dallas Cowboys moving forward. I think that they will be able to re-sign Terrence Steele. And I do think whether it's a short-term tag or a long-term deal, that they will bring back Tony Pollard one way or the other by hook or crook. So, I think both of those guys will be back. I think they are planning for both of those guys to be back. And I think they are planning for both of those guys to be healthy. Now, how, much lip service that is, and, how much truth is in that, I cannot tell you. Right? I don't know just yet. Because you got to remember, like Terrence Steele, he tore his ACL. Tony Pollard broke a bone in his leg. Like, I don't know if they're going to be completely healthy to start the season or training camp. It sounds good right now in February when people ain't getting hit, people ain't got to practice, people ain't got to go into OTAs. Like, all that sounds good. But when the rubber meets the road and it's time for people to be in pads and time for guys to be there working out and stuff, we'll see how much truth and merit is in there. Now, saying it right now before you sign a guy is a perfect way of you know tr- you know making it sound good for the fan base when they sign their contracts. Like, oh yeah, they'll be healthy, they'll be back in time to contribute, yada yada, so on and so forth. But like, we'll see. I listen. I want both of those guys back. Tony Pollard, he led our team in rushing. He led our team in explosive plays. He was tied with Ezekiel Elliott for the most total touchdowns by a skill position player on the roster, right? So, like, Tony Pollard, he is a very dynamic player. I wouldn't mind having him back. Terrence Steele, well, he's almost really. I'm gonna put it like this: Terrence Steele re-signing is more important than even re-signing Tony Pollard. Because when you look at how your offensive line played when he was injured and he was not able to be out there on the field, it was a completely different offensive line. We were averaging as a whole, I'm not just talking about Ezekiel Elliott, all our running backs were averaging, you know, under 3 yards of carry at different points when Terrence Steele was outside of the lineup. So bringing Terrence Steele back and fortifying that offensive line should definitely be the biggest priority. Because remember, when Terrence Steele went down, you had 40-year-old Jason Peters playing on that side. You had Tyron Smith playing on that side. Josh Ball made an appearance, right, and quickly got his ass benched because he was horrible. So, like, there was a rotating door over there at right tackle once Terrence Steele got injured. So, bringing him, and listen, like, sometimes, seeing the effect of somebody not being on the field will get you paid quicker than playing well on the field. So, the offensive line as a whole was putrid when Terrence Steele was not out there. So, by that alone, bringing him back makes perfect sense. Bringing Terrence Steele back, knowing how poorly your offensive line played when he was not out there, I can agree with that. And it prevents you from having to use a quality pick like your first round pick to get a right tackle. It prevents you from having to go out and overpay a free agent that you've never seen in a Dallas Cowboy uniform. Let's see. Bring Pollard back on a 3-year, $17 million contract with $8.5 million signing bonus. Is cheaper than a tag. Yeah, like, I honestly do not want anybody to get a tag. Like, if you want Dalton Schultz, re-sign him. Give him a long-term deal. The cap hit will be much more, palpable. Tony Pollard, same thing. Because listen, you can't be considering cutting Tyron Smith and considering cutting Ezekiel Elliott and asking Dak Prescott to take an early extension to save cap money, and then turn around and get fully guaranteed deals. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's counterproductive. Because you would basically be clearing all that cap space to give a majority of it to two players or one player. So, like, I'm all for retaining Dalton Schultz. I'm all for retaining Tony Pollard, retaining Terrence Steele, but I don't want the Dallas Cowboys to use the franchise tag. There are better ways you can use and contribute and distribute that money. And remember, like, Dak Prescott is really the player that broke me from ever wanting to see them use the franchise tag. I wanted Dak Prescott. I still want Dak Prescott. But Dak Prescott only played when he got franchise tag. He only played 5 games. He broke his leg, and he still got that $30 million. You had $30 million cap hits, right? You had a $30 million non-negotiable cap hit on a player that only played 5 games that season. And it would have been worse if Dak Prescott didn't sign back with us, right? You would have paid Dak Prescott $5 million, like $30+ million for 5 games into rehab for the next team he was going to, right? So stuff like that is why I really don't want us to franchise tag players. But there would have been better ways to do that. Because you had went ahead and gave Dak Prescott his money. You could have built up a team. If you had went ahead and signed Dak Prescott to a long-term deal, you would have much more money to play with, in 2020 on to now. But yeah. So let's touch on some of the other things that Stephen Jones was talking about. Oh, also, if you did not see, they confirmed, right, that Mike McCarthy was the reason that Kellen Moore is no longer the play caller for the Dallas Cowboys. They said, quote unquote, Kellen Moore no longer calling plays was Mike McCarthy's decision. So, we were talking about Big Mike having power in Dallas. Like, he's hit the hit on Kellen Moore and got that boy whacked. Like, hey, Kellen Moore got whacked, on the orders of Big Mike McCarthy. So if you want to know who's running things in Dallas or who has the power in Dallas, it ain't Kellen Moore, apparently. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, bye-bye, Kellen. Bye-bye, Kellen. And listen, I rock with Kellen Moore, man. Like, I think Kellen Moore was decent. But, like, he made horrible situational play calls. Like, the offense be working fine. He up and want to call a double reverse. Or like you seen in the playoff game. 2nd and 1 in the red zone on the 20-yard line, you go empty set and put your quarterback in position to throw a pick. Like, the situational play calling was kills me. Because Kellen Moore was the type of guy who could drop 50 on the Washington No Names or drop 40 on the Eagles and things like that and turn around and his offense scored 19 points against the Kansas City Chiefs or they scored 9 points against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Or go to New Orleans and only score 10 points. Like Kellen Moore scoring against these winning teams is so far below. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, like he averages like 12 less points. He averages like 12 less points when he actually plays competitive teams. So, like his numbers or like the offensive numbers are inflated, like by beating up on a bunch of bad and average teams and subpar defenses. So, like Kellen Moore, like he had some things he was good with. I don't think he'll be a bad fit for the situations he's going into because they throw the ball a lot any damn way. But he was not a fit for us. He tried to turn Dak Prescott, who I must remind y'all, Dak Prescott has the record for the most rushing touchdowns by a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. He passed Roger the Dodger, right, in that regard. And then, he had like 48 rushing touchdowns in college. So this is a very mobile quarterback that he tried to turn into a pocket passer. Hey, Cowboys fan 95, what's good with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in. The Eagles made 2 seasons out of beating bad teams. That is true. That is very true. But, I'm just talking about Kellen Moore as a whole. Because, like we be talking about Kellen Moore offense putting up numbers and stuff like that, but they're inflated. Just like you seen the Eagles when they played company quarterbacks this year, they got toe up. They played Dak Prescott. We dropped 40 on them. Right? They played Patrick Mahomes. They beat the brakes off. Right? Kirk Cousins, like Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins in prime time. He doesn't really show up. Then they caught all the other quarterbacks. They caught them early in the season because they went up there when they played Sunshine. They played that boy in a monsoon. So they really didn't have to contend, with some of these other quarterbacks in ideal situations. So they played Dak Prescott in an ideal situation, and he tore him up. They played Patrick Mahomes in an ideal situation on one foot, right? Because he had a high ankle sprain, and he tore him up. So when the rubber meets the road, and you actually got to play a good team, like you need to score points. Well, the Eagles actually did score points. They defense, which everybody swore up and down was good, got folded up. So that is what it is with that. Michael Lockhart, what's up with you, man? What's up with you? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. So yeah, I gotta get used to this mic. I gotta set up, cause I be using this computer a lot. I'm trying to set up a perfect way so it don't block me when I'm trying to tap on this computer, do my little research and notes and stuff. But I do love this mic though. Hey, everybody that's just now tuning in to the show, man, how does mic sound, man? How does mic sound? Everybody just now tapping in with me. Let me know. Was it money well spent? Let me know something. Hey, how you doing tonight? I'm happy for you too. And hey, how you doing? I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great, Mike. Matt Baden. I appreciate you for tapping in. All right, Mike said it sounds good. Regina Green said it sounds good. In a few weeks, you'll be a master at it. Hey, I'm gonna try, brother. I'm gonna try. Matt says it sounds good. Cowboys fan 95. Mike sound good. Okay, cool. Mr. Kima said much better, bro. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's trial and error. We're gonna do everything slowly but surely to try and improve the quality of the show. HCM said, "Let me upgrade you." Sounds good, my guy. Hey, I appreciate that, Darren. I appreciate it. But yeah, but the numbers for Kellen Moore were inflated. And I understand Mike McCarthy wanting to call the plays. When Mike McCarthy was at his best, he was a play caller. Say what you want. When the Green Bay Packers won their Super Bowl, he was the play caller. Right? They had a top 10 scoring offense, like 8 consecutive seasons in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy as the play caller. So, the people that poo-poo on Mike McCarthy are just the guys that love Aaron Rodgers. Because, when there's a breakup, man, hey, Carl Whittington, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So, yeah, man. So, when there's a breakup, man, like there's two sides to every story. Well, there's really three. It's one person's side, the other person's side, then, the truth is somewhere in the middle. So, what really happened is a lot of these folks, they, hey, Daisy Clark, I appreciate you. Matter of fact, I want to give you a special shout out as well for contributing to this. Your donation went to the purchase of this microphone, so I appreciate you for everything. Double R in the house, up, Henny. Worldwide Big Matt. Hey, Double R, I appreciate you for tapping in with me, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah. So, a lot of the people that were talking down about McCarthy were just the people taking Aaron Rodgers' side in it. Aaron Rodgers came out publicly said that, the NFL had passed Mike McCarthy by and he didn't like his offense, this and that. And so guess what? Mike McCarthy stopped calling the plays. Mike McCarthy eventually lost his job. They got a different guy in that's supposed to be an offensive guru. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers is again complaining about the play calling, about the offensive sets, everything. So, the common denominator among those two guys is Aaron Rodgers. So it sounds like more of an Aaron Rodgers problem than it actually is a Mike McCarthy problem. Right? And remember, the type of plays that Mike McCarthy's calling is the West Coast offense. Probably over half the NFL uses West Coast concepts. Right? So it's not like it's an outdated scheme. Like they use a version of the West Coast offense in LA and they just won a Super Bowl, the year before. They use a version of the West Coast offense in Kansas City, honestly. So yeah, like the West Coast offense is winning titles. Let me see. I got a question. How many hookers is too many? Well, man, for Jerry Jones, apparently, there is no such thing as too many hookers. But and this is crazy because I don't mind the Dallas Cowboys drafting Hendon Hooker if he falls. I just don't want the Dallas Cowboys to draft Hendon Hooker with a premier pick. Like, hey, I appreciate that, Miss Clark. I appreciate that. So yeah, man. So like Hendon Hooker, he's a good prospect, right? You haven't seen a lot of football from him, but I would definitely wouldn't mind him being Dak Prescott's backup quarterback. They both are athletic. They both are play action quarterbacks. They both can extend plays. And Hendon Hooker, he has a bigger arm than Dak Prescott. As of now, Dak Prescott is the more accurate quarterback, right? But like if Hendon Hooker can ever develop, like he has a bigger arm, he can make the chunk throws down the field. But like he's going to be a project. He's going to be a guy that would not be ready for at least 2 or 3 years, if we're being honest. Especially not if our roster is not ready. Like when Dak Prescott took over as a rookie quarterback, we did have one of the best lines in the NFL. We did have one of the best tight ends in the NFL. We did have Ezekiel Elliott, who went on to be the rushing champion and was an All-Pro. We had Dez Bryant, who was a year removed from an All-Pro season, right? And then we had a competent defense. Like people can say what they want, but we had a very competent defense even at that point. But that infrastructure that made Dak Prescott successful as a 4th round pick out of Mississippi State is not here for another young quarterback. Our offensive line was ranked 28 in pass protection. Odds are we do not retain the services of Dalton Schultz from the way it looks. Like they saying that Dalton Schultz as the best tight end in the National Football League. No, I'm sorry, I misquoted. Dalton Schultz, who is the best free agent tight end right now, I'm sorry, has a market of somewhere between $15 million a year. I do not see the Dallas Cowboys paying him. So, like we will not have a good tight end or a proven tight end. And, like we don't have everything in order. Like we do have a much better defense. We do have CeeDee Lamb, who was a proven commodity. But, outside of CeeDee Lamb, right now, we do not have a great wide receiving core. We do not know what our running game is going to look like because we have not re-signed Tony Pollard. The status of Ezekiel Elliott being on the team is up in the air. So there's a lot of question marks right now surrounding the Dallas Cowboys offense. So you really do need to retain and keep a veteran quarterback, to sort of settle things down. Right now. Now, if they don't extend Dak Prescott, and he just plays out the next 2 years, then somebody like Hendon Hooker, having learned from Dak Prescott for 2 years, having learned the offense for 2 years, being groomed by Mike McCarthy, cool. I'm fine with it then. If we don't win a championship in the next 2 years and you want to start over, right? Cool. But you do not draft Hendon Hooker and try to plant him this year, right? You do not try to put him in the starting lineup this year. He is going to be a project. He's going to be a project player. And he is going to be, coming off of ACL surgery. So he's not even going to be the best version, the best athlete that he was. It's going to be another year before he's ready, coming out off of that, just in that aspect of being a runner. Yes, Mike McCarthy has done that a lot. He is, and hey, what's crazy is Mike McCarthy, used to be considered a quarterback guru. He used to be considered a quarterback whisperer, before Andy Reid was. Right? It's just the stuff that happened in Green Bay, like sullied that reputation. But if we remember, Mike McCarthy was the one that developed Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy was the quarterback's coach for my boy Joe Montana. So like he's worked with a lot of great quarterbacks. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, what would you use your draft picks on, or what do you use free agency for, Henny, or anyone in the chat? Free agency, man. Like, all right, I got a good one for you. I will use the free agency to find my defensive tackle for the future. Like, it's already been reported that the run Payne is probably going. Yeah, he also did great work with Brett Favre. You're correct. There's actually a lot more than just the ones we're thinking about. I really should go through his, the quarterbacks that he had the privilege of coaching. There's quite a few on there that actually turned out to be Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks outside of the ones that everybody knows about. But I would use the free agency to find my defensive tackle of the future. When you want to stop the run, you need a proven defensive tackle. You don't really want to take a flyer out on a guy, on a kid who hasn't been playing against grown men in the National Football League yet. So, since the run Payne is just got franchise tagged, he been franchise tagged, will not have to hit the open market. I would definitely go after somebody like Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson is under 30. He still is a pretty good defensive tackle. He may not be on the level as the run Payne, but he would be an upgrade in our defensive tackle room. He's been in the league since 2017. No? Yeah, he's been in the league since 2017, 29 years old. Right? And let's pull up some of Dalvin Tomlinson's statistics. If you don't know who Dalvin Tomlinson is, he was a defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings last year. He's been a Minnesota Viking for a while. He's a former New York Giant. So let's take a look at Dalvin Tomlinson, how he grades out, his measurements, so on and so forth. Dalvin Tomlinson, 6'3", 325 pounds. He is a former Alabama Crimson Tide. Got drafted in 2007 in the second round. Okay, he graded out as a 77 overall. His run grade is much lower than I expected it to be, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. So let me see if that's an outlier or if that's just who he is. Okay. So this is somebody who I'm gonna have to actually get Landlord to do a film breakdown with me. Because he started off his career as a great run defender, right? Judging by his grades. And you always take the PFF grades with a grain of salt, right? They're not always the most accurate things. But he started off his career as an 82.7 in terms of run defense. And then the next year he was just an 80. And the next year he fell off and was a 79.3. And then the next year he dropped all the way to a 70.3. And then the year before last, it was a 68.1. And then this year, he only graded out as a 63.8 as a run defender. So I'm not sure, the validity of these grades. I still would want to bring him in and upgrade my defensive tackle position. But, judging by what they have for him, he has regressed as a run stopper every year that he's been in the league. I don't know how truthful that is, but we'll figure it out. Let's look at these other numbers, right? Let's take a look at some of these other numbers. So he had 25 tackles this year. All right. 12 assists, 24 stops. So that's 24 run stops. And he also had 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, and 19 hurries. He also had a high missed tackle percentage, though. He had an 11.9 missed tackle percentage. I think Dalvin Tomlinson, judging by the first bit of advanced analytics I looked at, has a bigger name than he does production, actually. But, with the slim pickings that we have, he does have a history of being what we needed, right? So he had 4 consecutive years of being an above average run defender. It just he was struggling as a run defender the past 2 seasons. But we have 4 seasons showing that he can be a good run defender. So, depending on his asking price, I would bring him in because Dan Quinn, he is a great defensive line coach. He gets the best out of players. And, he does have the ability to pressure up the middle. So if the money is good is reasonable, I would go out and get him. If we are losing Schultz, we may need to get tight end early, replace the production. I like Darnell Washington and Tucker Kraft in the second round. Yeah, because there will be some tight ends that are worth a second round pick. Also, if we get down there and they're the best players available, I have no problem with it. Because honestly, because you asked me, because I had the question of what would I use free agency for, and then what I would use the draft for. Man, with me, I want best player available. You know, and with the caveat of course, if the best player available is a quarterback, we're not going to take, a quarterback. First couple of rounds. But I would go BPA. You're picking at number 26, which is damn near in the second round. You're picking, late second round. All your picks are going to be late because you advance in the playoffs. So because of that, we already going to be a couple of slim pickings. But just take the best player available. If the best player out there when you pick a number 26 is a wide receiver, you take the wide receiver. If the best player available at pick 26 is a guard or a tackle, you take them. Yeah, I take a quarterback round 5 or 6. But we draft, and listen, damn near can't take a quarterback in round 5 because you draft too good. It's a gift and a curse, right? Because you got Ron Bland in the 5th round. You got Damone Clark in the 5th round. Linebacker from Arkansas. I take not at number 26. Not at 26. West Coast. Now I'm from Arkansas. For everybody that do not know, I am from a small town called El Dorado, Arkansas. Right? I watch all the damn Razorbacks games. And listen, Drew Sanders is a dog, a certified dog. Like he will improve a defense. I just don't see how this man can be the number 26 overall pick in the draft. For y'all who do not know, Drew Sanders he only had this 1 year of production. Because before he transferred to Arkansas, he was a defensive end at Alabama. When he got to Arkansas, he switched positions from a defensive end to a stand-up outside linebacker. Right? So he's not a traditional linebacker. He's not a Mike. He's an outside linebacker, similar to Michael Parsons. He's a pass rusher first who can give you, pursuit on the edges. He can track down plays. He's 6'5". He's long. So, there's a lot of great things that Drew Sanders does. I'm not knocking his talent or his potential. But, you only seen Drew Sanders play like that one season. And then if we're being honest, my Arkansas fans, we had a horrible defense. Now, a lot of that is not on Drew Sanders because we had one of the worst secondaries in the SEC. But he did a lot of this on a very bad defense that gave up a lot of points, to actual good teams. So, I like Drew Sanders, but I don't have a first round grade of Drew Sanders. I think that you're drafting Drew Sanders in the first round. It's a reach. I will understand drafting Drew Sanders in the second round as later we're drafting in the second. I would understand drafting Drew Sanders in the third. I just don't see him contributing enough in college to warrant him being the number 26 overall pick. But if he goes in the first round, and there's some people talking about Drew Sanders will be the first linebacker off the board, dog. So you know what? If somebody was willing to give my dog a first round pick and give him that first round pick money, more power to him. I'm happy for him. I will be happy for him. I just don't think Dallas Cowboys should pick him at number 26. I think it's an overdraft. But there are much more proven players in the first round that you can pick and have locked up for 5 years. There's a lot more guys. Because listen, go and sign. Listen, go and sign Bobby Wagner. I would listen. That's a good idea. Bring back Hankins. Give me Bobby Carpenter. And listen, I would. He said Bobby Carpenter. Bobby Wagner. Yeah, I would sign Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner was an All-Pro last year. All-Pro, 140 tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, multiple passes defended. Like Bobby Wagner went crazy last year. The Rams sucked, but Bobby Wagner did not suck. Bobby Wagner played out of his mind. Then you'll be adding Bobby Wagner back to a defensive scheme that he won a Super Bowl in and led a team to a second Super Bowl in. Right? So, bring Bobby Wagner in. Because Drew Sanders is not a traditional middle linebacker anyway. There's a player at Arkansas named Bumper Poole who was actually the Razorbacks middle linebacker. He was the middle linebacker. He was the brain of the defense. And I like Bumper Poole. Like a lot of people don't have him high on their draft boards, but he has a high motor. Right? He has a high motor. He is a sure tackler. Right? He's very aggressive. Now he might be slightly undersized. Right? He might be slightly undersized, but like in the late rounds, if Bumper Poole is on the board, if Bumper Poole is there in the 5th or the 6th round, you take him. If you want a middle linebacker you can develop, he's a kid that's actually from Texas. He's from Lucas, Texas. Went to school in I take Bumper Poole in the late rounds. Or if he doesn't get drafted, sign him as an undrafted free agent. But I like Bumper Poole. He's more of a traditional middle linebacker. And that's actually what you need. Desmond Ironman, I appreciate you, man. Like, yeah, man, like thanks to everybody that supported, we were able to do this. Eli, what's up with you, my guy? On top of that, it's not even about Bobby Wagner's play. It's about how much Bobby Wagner will prove experience at linebacker on this team. Yeah, man, like Bobby Wagner is a proven commodity. Like Bobby Wagner can take a bunch of these young guys under his wings. Like think about what you do. You do a lot of things by bringing Bobby Wagner in. By bringing in Bobby Wagner, you allow your safeties to actually play safety. You had Jerron Curse playing a lot of big nickel. He was being contacted a lot. You had Donovan Wilson playing a lot of big nickel, right? So when they're in those sets, they are technically the linebacker in the middle of the field a lot of those times. So you help them. You help the development of Damone Clark. You help the development of a guy like Jabril Cox that may be out on his way out because he has not been able to get on the field. So you might be able to save him by bringing in somebody that can develop them. Michael Parsons, who is not actually a traditional linebacker in the NFL anyway, you could teach Bobby Wagner being here. He can teach Michael Parsons what he's looking at, how to dissect the play, how to be a middle linebacker, so he can fill in that role in different situations. So I like it. I like the idea of signing Bobby Wagner, and right, if B-Wag want to contend, he'll come to Dallas for $10 million. Yeah, because listen, that's a great point. He was only making $10 million a year at his last destination, and what was so cold about it, they broke his contract down to where his cap hit was $6 million the first year, $6 million the next year, $14 million the year after, and then $14 million the year after that. So like his cap hit for the first 2 years was only going to be $6 million. Was only going to be $6 million a pop, which is crazy. So like, yeah, man, there's no like, and listen, Stephen Jones does not have the excuse. There's not enough money to go around to sign a guy like Bobby Wagner, right? Dak Prescott is probably getting extended, which will clear cap space. Ezekiel Elliott is probably going to take a restructure to stay on the team, probably an extra year and clear up cap space. The way they're talking, they're probably going to do the same thing with Tyron Smith. So you got all these guys, willing to restructure their money, willing to take a little bit off the top to help the Dallas Cowboys this year. So, there's no reason to ask these guys to take pay cuts, then not go out and sign nobody to make the team better. Like, listen, if the only two things that the Dallas Cowboys do in the offseason is sign Bobby Wagner and Dalvin Tomlinson, or sign Bobby Wagner and DJ Shark, then they had a successful offseason because I could comfortably say they looked at the wide receiver position, said they needed an upgrade, and they went out and got a player that fits what they like, but is easily an upgrade at the other positions. You may not think that DJ Chark is better than Michael Gallup. I don't think he is either, but he is better than Noah Brown, and he is better than T.Y. Hilton at this stage of his career, and better than any of the other guys, right? Bobby Wagner is better than LVE, and he's better than every other linebacker on your team. You can even say he's a better linebacker than Michael Parsons, because Michael Parsons is technically a pass rusher. Henny with the yeah, man, yeah. Hey, I was like a kid in the candy store, man. I couldn't wait to get home and put this mic in and jump on here, man. I couldn't wait. Yeah, man. Hey, they did me right, landlord. They did me right, man. I was able to do this because of the love my supporters showed me, man. So, you know, I got to come and give them a good show after that, man. Facts, Carr, add Cooks or DJ Chark to the offense. We good. Yeah, man, because like you just need a little bit more explosiveness from your wide receivers. That's it. Because you're gonna be playing in the West Coast offense, man. Hey, HTM. Hey, Hoodlum, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me, brother. So yeah, man. So you're gonna be playing in the West Coast offense. It's a offense designed for the wide receiver to actually run away from the defender. I know that's a crazy concept in Dallas because we used to run a lot of curl routes with you used to run all them curls with what's the boy? Damn, he just left. I can't believe that I forgot his name. Oh, Kellen Moore. We used to run all them damn curl routes with Kellen Moore. So, you know, like you'll see a lot of over routes. You'll see a lot of slant routes. You'll see things designed to get the wide receiver in space running the opposite direction. You know. So, you know, I just need some more explosiveness. Guys with no fast 40 times, you know, they fit well in the West Coast offense, right? I wouldn't mind, you know, Turpin, you know, getting an opportunity to run some over routes and run some slants, right? Because you know that would fit him. That would be perfect for him. So you know, DJ Chark, he fits everything you want from him. Get a linebacker in free agency. Yeah, man. You know, I just said if the Dallas Cowboys go out and sign Bobby Wagner, right, as their big time signing, and then give us DJ Chark as the clearance rack signing, I'm good with that. Because you address both positions of need. You need a middle linebacker, and you need another wide receiver with some speed, right? I do want them to go out and get a defensive tackle. But, you know, when I did look at the advanced numbers for Dalvin Tomlinson, who is now probably one of the better, I'm high. I guess I'm high on DJ Chark than you is then, Kinfolk. I guess I'm high on him than him. Like, he is also a guy, and no, it's like a hypocrite. Now, see, I can't trust 13 to get better because 13 has been injured the last 2 seasons. Right, I got there's a lot of hoping for me for something I ain't seen in 2 years, right? But you know, and even then, like we don't have a third wide receiver. We literally don't have a third wide receiver on the roster right now. So even then, we will have to sign somebody or draft somebody, unless we're going to let Jalen Tolbert get the snaps and try and take the jump. And he is somebody I think is going to develop and have a better year, right? You gotta hope and play development, but I have no faith in Michael Gallup until he showed me something else. So listen, I can be looking at it 2 different ways because I did not want them to sign Michael Gallup. Right. Hey, what's up with you, Bishop? I appreciate you tapping in with me, man. But yeah, man, I didn't want them to sign Michael Gallup, bro. Like, I didn't want them to sign Michael Gallup. And now because you cut Amari Cooper, you traded Amari Cooper, you have your 2 outside wide receivers are not burners. You can get away with that with CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb is explosive out the break. He's getting better as a route runner, so on and so forth. Like, you really got 2 wide receivers that neither one of them get behind the defense or put pressure on the safety. So, you know, with the kind of offense we're going to be running, you know, I need somebody with some speed outside of my kick returner that they never let play wide receiver. So I would take Chart because he is better than Noah Brown, and at this point in his career, he's better than T.Y. Hilton. And the only thing that has slowed down DJ Chark is his injury history. I already told y'all how I feel about the Dallas Cowboys medical staff. If they can keep somebody like Randall Cobb healthy, then I think they can keep DJ Chark healthy. The guys that I actually have concerns about staying healthy or the guys that are already on Dallas's roster, they continually have injury problems because they already got the best medical staff. If the best medical staff in the National Football League can't keep you healthy, then I don't know what else to tell you. So the guys who I have health concerns on are actually the guys that were already in the building that can't stay healthy. But outside guys who have never been around our training staff, those guys always stay healthy for some reason. Right? Malik Hooker, Randall Cobb, even the guys we draft that had injury concerns coming out of college have stayed healthy. Jalen Smith, till this day, is still starting as a middle linebacker in the National Football League, playing in the postseason. Yeah, man. And listen, I hope, and listen, for Michael and West Coast, for Michael Gallup's sake, he better play good. Because Michael Gallup has an out in his contract in 2024. So they do say they like their guys, and Michael Gallup goes out here and he looks like he did last year, it's over with. Dallas Cowboys save a lot of money cutting Michael Gallup in 2024. They went ahead. Ooh, hey, my boy Jalen Smith was free agent. Man, if he want to come back home, I take Jalen Smith too. Y'all call me crazy if you want to. I take Jalen Smith. I take Jalen Smith playing over LBE as a natural middle linebacker. And then, hey, you could put the team back together. LBE can move back out to outside linebacker, weak side linebacker. Jalen Smith could be the middle linebacker. So I'm fine with that. I think people were gassing, Jalen Smith not being a good linebacker. He listen. He done went to. You don't remember Jalen Smith? He was the middle linebacker we had with the dreadlocks. He had drop foot when we drafted him. He had nerve damage. He overcame because he's an overcomer. Man, Jalen Smith is still a good middle linebacker. Like he played good for the Giants. He did play. He played very well. He played very well for the Giants. So I listen. Anybody that is producing, that is producing, at middle linebacker, I want them because y'all are not being fair to LVE. Because the people that love LVE would really love LVE if he was back playing his natural position. They had my guy LVE playing middle linebacker who had never played middle linebacker before until last season. LVE was always a weak side linebacker. When he made his all-pro team selection, he was a weak side linebacker. So you were doing a disservice by LVE because I think if you bring Jalen Smith back and you move the Wolf Hunter back to his natural position of weak side linebacker, you will get the best out of LVE. Right? So if you can't get Bobby Wagner, then go back and bring in somebody that's already played for you, that has good and listen, the people in the locker room love Jalen Smith. So you already be bringing a guy that has camaraderie and leadership value into the locker room. He was playing meaningful football. He was playing very meaningful football in the postseason still, right? So if you can't get Bobby Wagner, just go ahead and bring him out and bring back Jalen Smith. So you're looking at an upgrade at middle linebacker. LVE at weak side linebacker was an all-pro when he was healthy, right? And that's been the issue with LVE as well. Like when you don't want LVE playing, playing downhill as a middle linebacker that much anyway with that neck injury. Like he has a better chance of staying healthy, going attacking from the side, right, in pursuit. So yeah, I think that is because I think that's a good idea. If you can't get the All Pro and Bobby Wagner, then go out and get Jalen Smith because he's already played for your team. You already know his tendencies, right? So go out and get him. That's what they did to Sean Lee. Yeah, yeah. And there's a large section of the fan base that's down on Jalen Smith. I don't think that's really warranted. You're allowed to feel how you want to feel about a player, but I like him. I think he's a very competent linebacker. Because remember, like people were their complaint was not that Jalen Smith wasn't tackling. Their complaint was Jalen Smith was tackling down the field. Right, Jalen Smith used to get like 100. But has Jalen gotten enough better about dragging it? He actually was moving better. No, I think the longer that injury gets behind him, the better he actually moves. He was moving pretty damn good for the Giants. No, I did not watch all 17 games, but the games I did see Jalen Smith in, he was moving pretty damn good. All right, so let's see. He was slow. His tackles downfield were due to not being able to close on people. I think that was more to do with the defensive line because his job is to fill the run gap if there is one. But like we've had some undersized defensive tackles for years. Because even when Jalen Smith left, there wasn't really anybody getting a ton of tackles or stopping the run or anything like that, right? So like that's also one of the reasons, though, man. Like that's why I hate the run Payne. Came off never actually hit the open market. Because it'll make all our linebackers' lives so much easier having that big nasty in the middle of the field. Because like all these guys will look like much better linebackers when you get a true space eating nasty defensive tackle in the middle, right? Because when you get that right, a lot of times the guys don't even get a chance to get to the second level. Yeah, it's the small size of the defensive tackles. It's definitely the undersized defensive tackles. So like get a big nasty, and I tell you what, if you get a big nasty, like all these guys will look better. Y'all would love Jalen Smith again if he had a big nasty in front of him. Like y'all would love LVE like y'all used to love LVE if he had a big nasty. Damone Clark probably would look like a dog, right? But you got to help these linebackers. They're already undersized, right? So if a offensive lineman is getting to the second level, right? The linebackers have no chance. They're getting manhandled. Because think about it, the guy in front of them that they just manhandled was 300 pounds, whooped their ass, got to the second level. Now you're expecting the guy who is about 100 pounds smaller in the britches to win that matchup. It ain't gonna happen. So you're gonna have to get you some dogs up front. And yeah, Bohannon, man, like Bohannon has been a disappointment. Bohannon has been a very big disappointment as a player, as a run stopper, as everything. And he still have potential because of his size, but he has to do better. When he's on the field, he has to do better. Matter of fact, y'all think I'm crazy. Let me pull up Quinn Bohannon stuff. Because I don't think Quinn Bohannon has been living up to anything so far. But yeah, man, listen. Quinn Bohannon graded out as a 41.1, graded out as a 42.4 as a run defender. You are too damn big. You eat up too much space to be that bad against the run. You're damn near 300. You're 360 pounds, right? You're 360 pounds. You're 6'4". Like, why are you getting overpowered at the point of attack? Why are you getting blown off the ball? Like, why are you not at least an average run defender for your size? Like Quentin Bohannon, he was hurt towards the end of the year. All right, cool. That's fine for that year. But the year before, this man was even lower as a run defender. So, I don't know what to say about Quentin Bohannon. Maybe, maybe he's a late bloomer. Maybe this year is be the year he makes the next step in his development. After all, like to put it into perspective, right? For me to tone it down and bring it back just a little bit, I don't want to shit on the young man. He was a sixth round pick. And us as a fan base did put a lot on his plate to come in as a former sixth round pick and stop grown ass men that move other grown ass men for a living. That is our fault. That's my fault. Because the guards in the NFL are monsters. Right? They are monsters. They move around and slang around other 300-pound men all day for a living to pay their mortgage and pay their kids school tuition. So I can't expect a kid who was just getting free lunch in college, to come up here and whoop up a no grown man. So maybe I'm being too hard when I'm looking at his stats and not giving that context. He was a 6th round pick from Kentucky. He was going to be a developmental player always. So maybe the year that he makes a developmental step is this year coming up. So I will try to be more lenient on him, but we need we need run stoppers like diabetics need insulin. It is life or death for us having Quentin Bohannon's young. I think Quentin Bohannon is like 23. He's like 23 years old. He just got drafted in 2021, so he's not old by any means. Let's see. I can find this boy age somewhere on here. Draft profile. Okay. Yeah, Quentin Bohannon young. I think I got kids this boy age. Let's see. How old this boy? He was born in 1999. So he's 23 years old. He's 23. So he's a kid, man. He's a kid. So, this is the same instance of why I don't want to draft a defensive tackle. Right? You cannot, and look at, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but none of the defensive tackles that we drafted have been able to come in and stop the run and be 3 down defensive tackles or none of that stuff. Neville Gallimore, Neville Gallimore is probably Neville Gallimore, man, he's undersized. Osa is undersized. Bohannon is not playing well. And, honestly, the first two are better at pass rushers than they are run stoppers. Right? They can push the pocket. They can apply pressure. They can sack the quarterback. They cannot consistently stop the run. Right? So that's why I'm more, that's why I would rather us preferably draft a veteran defensive tackle that's actually stopped the run before than depend on a rookie that's never done in the NFL. Henny, am I the only one who would just get a good left guard in free agency instead of drafting one? You're not the only one. You're not the only one. Neville Gallimore got too big and top heavy and falls over too much. Yeah, like Neville Gallimore. The thing with the Dallas Cowboys is they like trying to make dudes play out of position, right? Like Neville Gallimore, no matter how much size he put on, is not the correct tech. He's not the correct tech to be out there trying to be a run stopper. His natural God-given ability is to push the pocket and apply pressure on the quarterback. Right. The only issue is, as a pass rushing defensive tackle, Osa is better. So listen, you can live with one undersized defensive tackle as long as you have a big nasty beside them. The issue with the Dallas Cowboys is they have 2 undersized defensive tackles that usually start, And Quentin Bohannon, even though he has the size, he's not good enough to consistently be out there. But he ranks bad in everything, right? Just judging by his grades. So you have to improve the quality of your defensive tackle position. If you have better defensive tackle play, you do not give up almost 300 rushing yards in a playoff game back in 2018. If you have better defensive tackle play, you do not give up 169 yards against the San Francisco 49ers in 2021 in a playoff game, right? So you have to be better, along your front. If you can't win in the trenches, you can't win. At least not in that aspect, right? Like the opposing offense might have some self-inflicted wounds, but you need better. You need better. But no, I definitely back to the point of getting a left guard in free agency. Let's just go look. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's look at free agents 2023. Let's see what kind of guards we got out here. This might even sound crazier, but dog, you got a good left guard in Tyler Smith. The only issue with moving Tyler Smith to left guard is you do not know if Tyron Smith can stay healthy. But Baby Zeus, Orlando Brown Jr., who just started for the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, he's a free agent. Now, I really think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to retain his services and bring him back. But there are some left tackles out there in the free agent market that you might be able to bring in if you wanted to move on from Tyron Smith. But at this point, because good left tackles are hard to come by, right? Because the probability of Orlando Brown actually becoming a free agent is like a 1. No, it's like a 0.5 out of 10, right? It probably is not going to happen. So you're going to have to rock with Tyler Smith or Tyler Smith at left tackle this year going forward. So if you had a viable option, because I can't trust Tyler Smith to stay healthy, so you actually had a viable option, you could go out and move Tyler Smith back. But I think depending on what happens, they might even make Tyron Smith a swing tackle. I don't know, but bro, it's like the old Wendy's commercial when the Cowboys come on the field defensively. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Nah, yeah, they're very small, man, and that helps. When you're pass rushing, you got quick guys that can get off the ball quick and get out to the quarterback quickly. But because you're so quick, you ain't got no bricks in your pants. You get moved in the run game, right? It's a give and take. I feel you though. We need more dogs in that middle. Yeah, definitely. Facts about that. Damn, he a giant for that size. It's obvious Quinn Bohannon is still failing. What can we do to fix that? Nothing. There's nothing you can do to fix Quinn Bohannon, but try and see if he develops or bring in an actual good defensive tackle. Like that. And listen, defensive tackle is a position that the Dallas Cowboys have not traditionally paid a lot of money to. I think like Ratliff was like the last big name defensive tackle that they got. So I like the idea of going out and getting a guy that that's already built for this stuff, right? Go out and get a defensive tackle that's already in the lead, been stopping the run. But there may not be as many as we think, but we have to figure something out at this point. But yeah, man, they are so quick. They get ran over in the play 60 yards down the field when they get up. Yep, man. At this point, it seemed like it, man. I'm not trying to shit on Tyron, man, but he probably should get paid for games played at this point. Maybe you play more. But hey, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, man. I've been on here for an hour and 24 minutes. So I appreciate everybody that's gonna stop by and show love to the channel, man. So on the way out, please hit that like button if you have not. Please share the content to a couple more places if you have not. And you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if it hits your heart, the Cash App is at the top of the chat. So, hey, I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all done. Appreciate y'all for taking the time out your day to sit here and listen to me ramble on about the Dallas Cowboys. If they up to it, man, I'm gonna try and go live again later on tonight. But I appreciate y'all, man. So, hey, just tap in with me next time I go live. Y'all take it easy now.